Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page, where I do this nearly every day live stream, all based around the divination card that I draw in the morning. And that divination card helps us to understand the most important energy that's flowing today for our highest good, for our soul growth. And it also sparks a really, usually an interesting conversation in the chat. So welcome. As you can tell, today I am broadcasting from Star Nations Academy rather than my meditation room down at the house. Yeah, it's a little bit brighter in here. I have more windows in here than I do in my meditation room. I have no windows in my meditation room. Yeah, and so today is Tuesday. I always call it Terrific Tuesday because we usually have at least 2 shows, sometimes 3. And today we have 3 shows for you, live stream. And so today is May 14th, and it's a beautiful day here. It really is. The sun's out, we got blue skies, big puffy white clouds, and it's about 70-something degrees. It's gorgeous out. And how can you not smile about that, right? Because we don't have that S word here. No snow. No. Although yesterday it was pretty cold. Today is the flip side of that. It's really beautiful out. So today, I don't know if you guys caught Polly Joe's noon show, Chakra Sessions. It was all about core healing. I'm sorry. No, it wasn't. That was the week before. It was about wrong document to pull it up. It was really good too. Why can't I remember it? Oops, there it is. Energetic detoxing, talking about our emotions and how when we don't release those emotions, how they affect us, right? And it was a really good informational packed show, and that healing meditation was pretty good too. So I hope if you didn't catch it, you can always do the live stream recorded and do it at your leisure, right? But it's got really good information in it. Yeah, and the reason why I'm even mentioning it is because yesterday was the 9th day, the final day of the liver cleanse that I've been doing. Yeah, and it went really well. I mean, I have to say that I never once felt hungry because it's a specific diet, right? No fats. I had plenty of cravings, but but I wasn't hungry at all. Yeah, and so today, people have been asking me, so how does it feel? What does it feel like? Well, this liver cleanse is really very gentle, and it helps to prepare your body for the deeper cleanse that is on day 9, and I feel really good. My fatigue level isn't the usual, that kind of thing. And I do have to say that I had a couple of days there where my energy level was in the basement. Once in the first 3 days and once in the last 3 days. Yeah, and but it was good. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it probably in August again. I figured that this is about healing my physical body, and also integrating all of the changes that occurred in 2017. My integration happened in 2018, but I think I'm feeling anyway that this is the one body that needs attention and healing, and that's the physical body from all of that. So yeah, it's good stuff. If you want to know more about it, it is the author of the articles is Patricia Heredia, and her column in Star Nations magazine is the Therapy Center, and so you can find all that information there in the January through May issues, because she was writing a series. Yeah, it's good stuff. All right. So before we go much further, what I'm going to do is I am going to share and like our live stream. And I'm going to be posting it to my newsfeed because I see that Stephanie is in the house, which means that she's doing all the postings to the different groups and pages. So I will do mine to my newsfeed. I invite you to do the same thing, to do the liking and the sharing. And you can share it to your newsfeed. You can just share it to one person through Messenger, on their timeline. The most important thing, though, is that we're sharing. And so I'm just going to let my friends know that I'm live streaming. And to please join. There we go. Gonna put a little Hochoka on there. Here we go. Oh my goodness. Okay. There. Stephanie's in the house. She's doing all that posting. Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie. It's so very helpful to have all that information there and all the links and all of that for you guys. In case you find something that you find interesting, and that way you're not trying to figure out what did she say? Where was I supposed to go with that? Stephanie has all that stuff in the links for us. I should say in the comments. Yum. I've got tea today. Tea. I haven't had caffeine in a few days. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's not coffee. I'm not ready for coffee yet. I'm kind of easing back into the usual life and eating, and not taking it because I didn't want to jump in with, like a big sandwich or anything like that. Hey, Polly Joe's here. Polly Joe, I was just talking about your show. Yeah, I was just talking about it and how yesterday, Sunday, was my final day, my 9th day on the 9-day liver cleanse. Yeah, went pretty well, I think. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the cards that we got today, and for everybody who's this month we're using the Lakota Sweat Lodge cards by Archie Fire Lame Deer. Yeah, that's right. And Helen Sarkis. And unfortunately, this book and deck of cards is out of print. You can get them still used. So I think it was copyrighted in 1993, if I remember right. I'll move things around here. Okay. The cards are very interesting today. Very, very interesting. So the first card that came today is the Pita Hochoka. The Pita Hochoka. It's the fire pit. Gotta move my fingers. It's the fire pit. And it's all about motivation. The fire pit. And the fire pit, as you can see, there's a huge fire going there, right? And inside that huge fire are the stones, the grandmothers and grandfathers' stones that are going to be taken into the sweat lodge. And if you look a little bit closer, you can kind of see a pathway. It's lined with stones between the Pita Hochoka, the fire, and the door to the Anipi, the sweat lodge. And get my camera to focus a little bit better. Here we go. And then to the right of the pathway, you kind of see a staff with feathers on it and a mound surrounded by, it looks like stones or something sticking up. And there's a skull on top of it. That's the altar. That's the altar. Yeah. And so, the little bit that I know about sweat lodges, I've only been to probably 7 or 8 sweat lodges. The fire itself is built. The Pita Hochoka is built by scooping out the sand or the soil to create a pit, right? An indention, an indent, I should say. And what they do is they take that soil or the sand, and that's what they build the altar with. And it's all in ceremony. It's all in ceremony. They're singing certain songs when they're doing that, when they're creating the Pita Hochoka, right? And even the stones that's selected or collected for the sweat lodge is done in ceremony, and so is the getting of the wood and chopping of the wood and putting it in to begin the sacred fire. The sacred fire is not normally started with like paper or um, charcoal or fluid lighter or gasoline or something like that. It's done all as clean as possible, right? As clean as possible. And when they're going to light the fire, there's certain songs that the keeper is singing. So it's all in ceremony from the very, very beginning to the very, very end. And so the Pita Hochoka is a certain amount of distance from the door of the Inipi, the sweat lodge. And it's in the direct line to the doorway. So that the energy of the sacred fire is going directly into the sweat lodge. And that's the pathway that the spirit of the stone people, the grandmothers and the grandfathers that they take to go into the lodge. That's the pathway that the spirits who are called in take to go into the lodge. That's the pathway that we, the two-leggeds, also take to go into the lodge. We don't cross over. There's a little etiquette to it. You don't walk across that pathway. There is an opening between the end of the pathway and the Inipi. And so for us, the two-leggeds, that's our entrance point to the Inipi. And so when the prayers are said and they open the flap to the Inipi after each round, all the prayers and all the healing and everything that is built up, the steam takes it out into the universe, right? And in some cases travels back to or into the sacred fire. In some cases, at least that's what I was told. Yeah, let's see who's in the chat. Polly Jo is here, and she's saying, "Oh, about the 9-day." Yeah, it was good. April's here too. Hello, April. Good to have you here. And so is Tina. Tina's here too. Hello, Tina. It's always good to have you in the chat. And so, when you take a look at this card, you can, if you take, I'm going to try to get it as close as I can and still have it in focus there. Take a look at the fire itself, right? You can see the stones in there and the wood that's banked up. Many times what you'll also find is that the drummer may have their drum positioned near the fire to keep it warm, to keep the voice good, either dry it out or warm it up. Yeah. And this fire started really early in the day, very early in the day. Usually around noon. If you're going to have your Inipi ceremony, like at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock or something like that, in the evening. So it's an all-day affair for that fire keeper, and usually they have a couple people helping them because it is a lot of work. A lot of work. All right, so let's find out. Let's find out about the channeled message for the card that the author includes. So I'm going to read it to you while I show you the card because that'll make more sense for you. It says, I am the void that brings forth. I am the circle of creation. I am the place and the voice of the sacred fire. I am Maka, transformed for your ceremony of cleansing fire. Within my cup of being, find you the very clear message of life. I am the circular vessel and the home of this truth. I am the home of this truth. In the tradition, and this is coming from the elder, Archie Fire Lame Deer, he says, during the sweat lodge ceremony, the fire pit symbolizes the sun, who gives his energy to the earth. Stones are here for the ceremony. Okay, so yesterday we actually had the sun as the card. Remember, and so here we go again. Now we have it in symbolism with the fire. Yeah. Tina's saying, I went to a lot of sweat lodges. Yeah. I wouldn't say that I've been to a lot. I've been to, I want to say maybe at least 7 or 8. More traditional sweat lodges. I've been to a few sweat lodges that aren't traditional. In other words, they're run by non-natives. And the one that I probably enjoyed the most that was non-native, it was actually in Michigan, and it was run by a woman who it feels much more Celtic to me because she does everything in threes, much more Celtic. And she doesn't call it a Native American sweat lodge at all. There's no comparison between the two. They're completely different. And hers is definitely much more feminine in nature, and not the gender feminine, but the energy of the sacred feminine. Talk a lot about the goddess and the moon and that sort of thing. Whereas the more traditional Native American, they talk a lot about the sun, right? They talk a lot about the sun, and so it's more about the sacred. It feels more like the sacred masculine in nature until you actually get to the doorway of the Inipi. And then it's completely feminine because at the doorway of the Inipi, right, Tina, is that as you go in, because you can't walk in, you have to kind of crawl in, and it's supposed to be representing the womb, right? And so when you're going in with gratitude and thankfulness, and so you're literally being humble, okay? And so I think it feels masculine on the outside. And I think it's because of the fire, right? and that straight pathway. It's not meandering. It's a very linear pathway between the fire and the door of the inipi. But until you get to the actual door and having to nearly crawl in, or to be able to, because the door is lower, and it's meant to be that way. It's meant to be that way. Yeah. Hello, Rochelle. Hello, Rochelle, I should say. It's good to have you here, Rochelle. Tina says usually 4 rounds for the 4 directions. Yep. Yeah, I've been in, and that's for the traditional Native American, because there's different cultures all over the world have their own traditional sweat lodge, and which some of them, like I said, the Celt, the Irish have, they do more of the 3 rather than the 4, because that's just their belief, right? It's their belief. Still pretty intense. It's still pretty hot. But yeah, you're right. The 4 rounds. Although I've been in a couple traditional that have been 6 rounds. Yeah. Tina says, when you go in, you stand with your hands up and turn in a circle and say, all my relation, and go on one side for women. Yeah, again, that I'm sure that's what you've experienced. Yeah, and the ones that I've been in, as you're going in at the doorway, where you're not quite in and you're not quite out, you're kind of in between, is that you're actually, you have your hands on grandmother, on the earth, and saying the Mitakuye, and then going in, and then you're literally, not, some people are crawling in to get into that position, but the ones that I've been in have been co-ed, not just male, not just female, but co-ed. And so usually the men sit in the front, because that's really hot there. I've been asked to hold the eastern door, and that gets pretty hot. Yeah. So, just slight differences, variances, but it's the premise, the intention underneath is still the same. It's still the same. And I suppose it depends on, who's pouring, who's drumming, that sort of thing. The songs are all the same, in the Native American, in the Native lodges, but completely different in the Irish, that's for sure. Okay, and so here's the card. The card meaning. It says that honor all forms of life and the oneness of all creation. Begin by respecting yourself. Oops, sorry. Wrong page. I lost my page. I was going to say, that doesn't sound right. Sorry about that. This is the meaning of the card. As you tend the altar of life, you are surrounded by spiritual support and protection. Right? Am I still on the wrong page? It can't be. Nope, that's right. I lost my page, you guys. Sorry about that. None of that sounded right. You know what happened? I closed the book is what I did. Here it is. Okay. Pita Hochokan. Okay. Start again. Here's the meaning of the card. Just as the sweat lodge ceremony begins at the fire pit with the energy of a flame, your new endeavors begin with your motivation. The mettle and attentiveness generated by personal motivation carry you forward to completion, to the achievement of your goal. Your inner fire propels you forward, giving you a clear vision of the desired outcome. Carry that vision through to the end, and you will be strong and swift as wildfire. If there's something in your life you're attempting without success, consider the strength of your motivation. See if you can ignite your interest. If you cannot, get fired up about it. Maybe it's time to let it go. Okay? So it's about that inner fire and our motivation with this card. And yesterday we were talking about the sun, and that was our personal power, right? And the Pita Hochoka represents the sun. So we're back at our personal power, right? And this one is about what's your fire like? What's your inner fire like for your motivation? You know, what kind of things in your life you can't wait to get started, right? You look forward to doing it, and you have a lot of energy around it, right? It not just captures your interest, but it is it brings your energy up, right? And you just can't wait to get to it. That is your motivation. So when we're doing that inner work, and we're looking at how we manifest and how allocate our energy, right? How we allocate our personal power, where do we place it? It's all of that. It's all of that. And with this card, it's saying that if we have our inner fire burning bright like this, bright like the sun, a lot of heat to it, right? And that if we stay on the path with that motivation, that we will have achieved our goal. We would have achieved actually getting into the NEB. Right? So what's your motivation like? You know, what does it feel like to you? How do you bring your motivation up for something that maybe you don't really want to do? You know, like the dishes, or another load of laundry, or maybe it's those mundane kind of things that we really don't, we have to do them, but our motivation isn't really high around them, right? I should say not for everybody, but sometimes. And Tina's saying 3 is the number for the female and 4 is for the male, and we have 2 tribal bundles. One is for thunder beings and the other is from the earth. Oh, that is so good, Tina. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and I know that you're out. Your people are out west, and I'm trying to remember. I know you mentioned this a long time ago because I asked you that. Who were your people? Where were they from? And I remember you telling me, was it Montana? No. I know that it's part of the Osheti Sakoi, right? The Great Sioux Nation. And that's really interesting, the number 3 for females and 4 for the male. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, those bundle keepers, right? They have quite a responsibility. Okay, so this card with this deck is all about your motivation, your inner fire. How do you place it? Where do you place it? And if you have an intention and you've set an intention, you're manifesting, you're creating. And so how do you utilize your personal power? How do you utilize your inner sun, your inner fire? Many times we don't really, stop and really think about that, do we? Hey, I was really searching my memory bank for that, Tina. I was really searching for that because I was looking at the map. I was thinking, I remember because I remember I couldn't quite see which nations were out in Montana from here. And yeah, that's good. Thank you. I should say, yeah, Ho-Chunk, thank you, is Pinagigi. Pinagigi. And Potawatomi, it's Miigwech or Ketchimigwech is a large thank you. Iguyen is meant for elders, or, it's a really formal thank you, Iguyen. So with this card, the part about your inner fire propels you forward, giving you a clear vision of the desired outcome. Carry that vision through to the end, and you'll be strong and swift like a wildfire. So I think this card, Spirit is asking us to take a look at, to really identify, is that the right word? I'm asking my team. Sense, they're using the word sense, to really sense our inner fire, our motivation. Motivational speakers, they really know how to get a group really fired up, don't they? Motivational speakers. And a lot of times, when we go home, it's like we try to carry that kind of fire back home with us, and sometimes it kind of dissolves or peters out, right? But how do you get your motivation up? How do you stay motivated? It's all those questions. What motivates you? How are you motivated? How do you keep that motivation, that fire fed? When we were talking about the building, the creating of the sacred fire, that when the wood is collected, sacred songs are sung to that. There's offerings to the trees for it, right? So how do you feed your inner fire? How do you feed your motivation? How do you feed it so it stays strong and healthy and vibrant, alive, right? Yeah. I used to read a lot of positive mental attitude PMA books, right? Back in the 80s, you guys remember that? And that was my entrance into reading spiritual information. Yeah, that was the doorway I took. I had read Black Elk Speaks when I was in high school. Was I in high school? I think I might have been a freshman the first time I read it. Yeah, and so it's like Spirit's asking us to really sense where we place our personal power. Where do we place our energy? And when we place our energy on our motivation, on whatever that is that we're manifesting, that if we have a clear picture of our desired outcome, right? Do you know that one? It's an old saying, keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on the prize. Yeah. So that you know what you're working toward. And that kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of it's a certain way of learning. And in the old days, our ancestors, many times, especially in the Native American world, many of the times is that we weren't told how to do something. We were shown how to do something, and that we watched. And we weren't, not so much discouraged to ask questions, but they weren't really encouraged either. Because as soon as you jump into your left brain to start identifying and categorizing, and you're not paying attention to what's going on in front of you. And so to be able to be shown what is the end result. This is what we're working toward, and now this is how we do it, right? And so you're watching because you know what they're making. You've been shown what it is, and then they break it down and they show you all the steps, right? And then eventually that you get to actually do the application. You start to actually help. Yeah. And so the reason why I'm laughing is because I can remember when I was young, and my mom was showing me how to, whether it was embroidery or crocheting or anything like that, making bread, tortillas or fry bread, and I'd be asking questions, and she says, "Well, you're not paying attention. How can you pay attention when your mind you're thinking about what you want to say? Just watch." And many times your answer is going to be there if you're watching. You know, trying to race ahead is what I'm trying to say. But that's a whole different culture, right? Whole different culture. Jeez. Yeah. Let's see. Tina says, I think it needs to heal within because the grandfather stones help to cleanse your spirit, and you can see little lights, spirit lights, and these are the spirits that help us. So true. It's very true. The healing that you're referring to, Tina, with the meaning of the card from this particular author and from this particular elder is talking about our inner fire and our motivation. And so really that healing within, around that's why I'm asking those questions about how do you get motivated? What motivates you? How do you feed your inner fire? Because if you don't know those answers to those questions, there's some healing that needs to go around that, so that you understand yourself much better. And if there's any, how do I want to say this? Any fear around success, or to be able to even finish projects, right? Um, yeah, that inner healing is definitely there. But with this particular card and this particular authors, I put them all together in one. This is about motivation, our inner fire. Yeah, I think it was last week we had a card, and it was all about the grandfathers. The grandfathers. And the Anipis that I've been in, they're both grandmothers and grandfather stones that were brought in. But yeah, and so that was a few days ago. Yeah. But you're right, Tina. It's this is all about inner healing from beginning to end. No matter which card we pull, it's going to be about inner healing of some sort. Yes, it is. Okay, so here is the meditation with this card, right? Because the author always adds a meditation with this. And it is, I spend quiet time within the void that gives forth, propels my creativity and inspires my actions. I spend quiet time within the void that gives forth, propels my creativity and inspires my actions. And so that is where the healing is. Spending time in the void, they're talking about meditation. They're talking about going into the silence. It's about being quiet, right? And to be able to understand with clarity what propels your creativity. What is the energy behind that invites you to create? And then And then, what is it that inspires you to action, to take action? Because that's the only way that we actually move forward, right? Is that movement. Is that movement. Yeah. Hey, Mark. Good to have you here. He says, had past life readings today. Waste of life. So boring. Blame my guides that reading. Well, that's too bad. That's too bad. Maybe you have to go to a different reader. And yeah, this is Stephanie. She says, your guides can only help if you ask. That's true. Ask loads of times. All right. So, okay. So we have a second card that goes with this to help us to understand what is the information that's most important for us to know about today, right? And so here's the second card. Now everybody got really excited about this one when I put it out there on the Facebook pages and groups. This is Iktomi, spider. Some call her grandmother spider. Yeah. And the meaning of this card in this deck is about fear of the unseen. Fear of the unseen. And it shows the spider. I don't know if you guys can see the web there. The web among the green leaves. Yeah. All right. So here is the channeled message that goes with this card. It says, I am like a whisper. You do not see me. I come on tiptoe from dark places. I move quickly and I can almost fly. Can't you see that I am magic? Yet when I step within your home or upon your skin, ha, what a ruckus ensues. One would think a giant monster had appeared to you. Sometimes I will bite you, perhaps because you deserve it. Perhaps it's because I like to tease. You know, I go about, gotta turn the page, about building webs and catching things to eat without much thought of you. But when we meet, I know what you feel, and it is fear. Then you are my prey. The tradition of the card is Iktomi is a supernatural spirit who deceives everyone, or at least tries. There are many stories of Iktomi changing himself into a human in order to fool everyone, but he always makes a mistake, revealing his true nature. He brings laughter through his foolish acts. He is like a human who tries to be what he cannot be. As the deceiver building webs that snare, Iktomi weaves the threads of your fear. He teaches us to avoid creating a web of deception that will only ensnare us and those we love. Now, there's many different takes on Iktomi, obviously. But reading this from this perspective kind of reminds me of that coyote medicine, doesn't it? Coyote medicine, a little bit. But you have to admit that many people are afraid of spiders. You know, even when you say, "Oh, I'm not afraid of spiders," but if one drops down, it will clear a room practically, right? People will start running. Me, depending on the size, it doesn't really bother me. If they're in the house, what I usually do is I get a glass or something or a cup and I put them in there and I slide a paper underneath them and I take them outside, right? Yeah. So it's not like spider can appear out of nowhere sometimes, and like they disappear too, right? If you're trying to find them, it's like, where did they go? It was just right here. Yeah. Okay, so Polly Joe is saying maybe you need someone who is you're answering Mark. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, good one. All right. So Tina's saying disruptor to make you go within. Yes. Yes. Kind of shakes you up, right? It takes you out of um, maybe going too far in the future or maybe spending too much time in the past. If a spider comes in and you're not really aware of it or not prepared for it, you don't even see it, and then all of a sudden it's there, it certainly brings you back to the present moment, doesn't it? Yeah, it certainly does. Oop, I went too far back. All right. Yeah. Um, yeah, and and it's they call it a supernatural spirit. So that means that they also show us the polarity. They show us the opposite, right? Um, supernatural. Yeah. And Stephanie's saying, yep, Iktomi and Coyote have much in common. Yeah, yeah, they do. And Polly Joe is saying lots of old fear can be caught up in spider energy. Yes, yes. If you were afraid as a kid of spiders and you were made fun of, lots of things come up from it, right? But with this, they're also talking about the web that's woven, right? And there's a lot of meaning about the web itself and how the spider weaves that. And many cultures put the weaving of that web on a universe, you know, that the spider wove the web of the universe, right? Iktomi. But they also talk about the web of deception. The web of deception. He says that teaches you to avoid creating a web of deception that will only ensnare us and those we love. And so, to be, I think the hardest one that we have to be honest with is ourselves. We can justify just about anything in our minds, can't we? But if we're honest with ourselves, then it's easier to be honest with other people, with other beings. When you can actually go deep enough to be able to be honest with yourself, right? Yeah, that web of deception, right? Iktomi. But what does Iktomi have to do with the Pita Hochokan? With the fire pit for the Inipi, right? I think that it has a lot to do with fear, right? And about our motivation, our inner fire. And Tina kind of touched on it when she was talking about the healing piece. Is that Iktomi represents a deep-seated fear. And it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. It doesn't matter your size, right? I know some really big guys that are totally afraid of spiders. They won't even go into the room if there's a spider in there. And so these deep-seated fears, they mess with our motivation. And so until you actually face those fears, heal them, release them, whatever the root cause is to the fear, is that your inner fire can burn a lot brighter and a lot hotter. And you can actually make much more clearer intentions for your manifesting. And many times, we have a fear of success and what all of that might mean for us. It's going to change everything sometimes, right? And so I think Iktomi came to help us understand that our inner fire, our inner sun, that it can be diminished. You can't put it out, but it can be diminished by fear. By fear. And so, what is that fear all about? And is there any deception in there? Are you deceiving yourself about something? You know, it's like, oh no, I'm good, I'm fine. You know, I'm doing everything I can, but it's so and so who's the problem, right? Yeah. Tina says, I always used to squash them and say I forgot that the word that the lightning strikes it. Well, sometimes, and it's like with mosquitoes, sometimes you just have to do what you got to do to protect yourself, you know? It's like with mosquitoes, you know, when I smack one, it's like, you know, it's like, what do I usually say? Have a good journey home. It's like, you know, but you're going. Yeah. It's certainly, Iktomi certainly is a teacher. Just like Coyote is a good teacher, Iktomi is a teacher too. Yeah. And those supernatural spirits, you know, they bring in the polarity. They bring in the opposite, the energy of the opposite. And so you really have to stand back and kind of look at that and say, okay, so if I have a fear of success, what's the other side of that? What am I afraid of if I fail? Right? So you have to look at it in a more holistic way, or another way to say it is from a couple of different perspectives, not just one, not one perspective, because in that one perspective you could have deception. You could be lying to yourself. You could be deceiving yourself and saying, "Oh no, I'm good. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong. I can compartmentalize." It's hard to say that word. I can put that over there, and I'm not going to worry about that right now because I'm going to work over here, and that's not going to bother interfere with my work over here. It's not how it works. You can try to deceive yourself that way and try to make yourself believe that, but you also have to think about and decide for yourself is where are you going to place your energy? Where are you going to place your energy? And how are you going to place it? Tina's saying the Heyokas use them to bring to people together in love, or they say it's evil from what I learned. Yeah, those Heyokas they're something, aren't they? They really are. Yeah, bringing in the opposites, right? So I'm going to show you the two cards together, and you know, we do this just about every day, right? And so I find it's easier to take in the information. When I say take in the information, not just with your physical eyes, but all of you, okay? Your whole being. Is if you take a big deep breath in, and on the exhale, you know, this is allowing you to bring everything to the present moment, all your energy to the present moment, and on the exhale, you're relaxing, right? Okay, so here we go. You're going to see both cards. So just that big deep breath in, and on the exhale, just really taking in the fullness of both cards and what it means for you today about your inner fire, your inner sun and motivation, about manifesting. And if you have any fears that come up, with that. Maybe it's a fear that you might not have realized before. It might feel like it's coming out of nowhere or coming from the unseen. And so if you can identify it, you can begin to work toward facing it, healing it, releasing it, so that your inner fire can burn even brighter, even hotter. Your motivation can move forward with much more energy. And how that feels to you individually, right? Because if we all work on our inner work, we affect each other. We affect each other. We affect the world around us. Yeah. So, Iktomi. When that card jumped out, I thought, oh, here we go. Iktomi is on the supporting side of the fire pit. I'm just checking my phone to make sure I didn't miss anything. There we go. All right. Pita Hochoka. I didn't say that right. Hochoka. That's it. Hochoka. Gotta slow down. Hochoka and Iktomi. So those questions that was kind of coming out really fast there is just to take a little time, set aside just a few minutes when you're having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and just consider those questions. Is that what motivates me? How am I motivated? Where do I place my energy in that motivation? And do I have anything that blocks that? Do I have any fears that prevent me from moving forward with this motivation? And if I do, what is that fear? So you can kind of focus on that and find out for yourself what it is that needs to be healed, released. Yeah. So that your inner fire, your motivation burns even brighter. There we go. All right. So you know that anything that resonated with you today, even if it was just one word or part of a sentence or even the whole thing, whatever motivated you, whatever resonated with you, is to embrace it, and watch how the energy of today unfolds around you, and where this information could be helpful or useful to you. Yeah, and sometimes we're actually bearing witness to someone else's moments with that, right? Because I think it's great. Either way, in either case, we're learning something. So it's good. If it didn't resonate with you, it's okay. Don't worry about it. There's always tomorrow's cards, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to back up just a little bit. I just want to look at okay. All right. So it seems that thank you everybody for helping Mark out. I just wanted to make sure that yeah. Thank you for addressing it. I didn't want to leave without letting Mark know that that when we go to a reader, right, that we go in with a clear question, right? A clear question. When we go in with the vagueness of it, because sometimes, sometimes we're testing the reader. It's like the ones that usually say, what does spirit have for me today, right? When it's that vague, you're going to get a vague answer, right? But if you go in with a specific question, you're going to get a specific answer. And to blame your guides for it, then I'd be asking the question: why was the opportunity of going to a reader placed in front of you, right? And your choice to go to the reader, because obviously there's something there that you were supposed to experience and learn from. So what was it, right? It's an opportunity to look at what was supposed to be learned from it. Yeah. Sometimes it's more about what we can't see than what we do see. And so those are the questions we have to ask ourselves, right? Yeah. And the thing is that, our spiritual guides, and, making sure that you have the highest vibrational guides with you when you're going. Did you ask them to go with you? And asking them for clarification, that kind of stuff. So, all right. That's top of the hour. I'm a couple minutes over. So tonight is my show, my weekly show. My evening show is Communications from Home. That's on at 8 p.m. tonight, Tuesday night. And we're going to be talking about the Star Nation's May issue magazine, the backstories, the highlights and the backstories of that issue, because every issue has some stories to it, and this one does. And then tomorrow in the afternoon is Nature Adventures, but we're doing a replay for that show because Minnie is in the midst of doing the final preparations of moving, and because she's moving to Colorado, and so she needs a little bit of a break. And so we're going to be doing a replay. We're going to be doing the replay about the sounds of water. It's one of our favorite shows. And so I'll be posting that for you guys tomorrow afternoon to watch the replay. And as that's playing, what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be doing the final preparations. Cross my fingers through the final preparations for my trip to Michigan. I leave on Friday to teach on Saturday a drum making workshop, and in Lyons, Michigan, actually at Minnie's house. And I was going to call it home, but it's not quite that. It's a house now, because she's moving, and so making sure that Mom's caregiving is all taken care of, and Paul and George are all taken care of before I hit the road on Friday morning. And then Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time is Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. And, her show, we can't really call it a show. We never did. It's really kind of hard to call it that because it is, the first part of it is all about healing. It's a healing meditation. And so it's all about bringing in your intentions of what you would like to heal or release, and bringing your spiritual team with you, and Polly Jo and her team hold the sacred space, that vessel for us to do that work in, and assist us in the releasing if we need it. And then the second half is all about the individual card read. So if you really enjoy having a card pulled for you and a mini reading done, that happens in the second half. And on Thursday at the Star Nations Academy closed group is our monthly free mini class. Got to slow down to say that one. The free mini class. And this month it's being taught by Julie Hedges. and it's about the moon, the phases, the 8 phases of the moon and you. And so, yeah, that's at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. If you're not a member of the closed group, no problem. Just go visit and ask to join. And Julie Shumway Hill, our manager for the academy, will take care of you. Okay. All right. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and hopefully we'll see you back here tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.